This video is brought to you by Ingenious and their cloud management platform. I'm using this at home to manage my Ingenious access points and switches that I paid for with my own money because, hey, it's actually pretty good. The configuration is stored locally, so it'll work without the cloud, but you can do advanced things like mesh configuration, you can set a local password, but the cloud tools give you some pretty advanced things. You can do security and monitoring, proactive monitoring, automatic firmware deployment, automatic management. You can do a lot of really cool stuff with the cloud software. I'm pretty into it, even though it's, cloud, but it really is a new generation of cloud stuff that is more secure and so far, for me, has been more reliable. It is a license-free, subscription-free platform. You can upgrade. There are some pro features, so there is a path if you need some really advanced features that you can pay for. But for everything that I'm doing at home with my mesh network and my 10 gigabit Ethernet and everything like that, there's no ongoing costs, unlike other sort of business class prosumer wireless solutions. And like I say, so far I've been really happy with this setup at home. Thanks Ingenious, and on with the show.
Hey, all you meme traders and crypto bros. It's Ryan here, and today we're going to talk about financial software. Now, let me say up front that I'm a big believer in the markets. I believe efficient markets and capitalism can solve most of the ills of society. And maybe not in the most humanitarian way, but definitely the best way we've ever found. And having said that, and probably sparked an absolute firestorm in the comments, I don't believe our markets are efficient or even fair. And you might also say that now is maybe not the best time to jump into the markets. Why are we talking about trading when the world is on fire and we're on the precipice of something horrible? But a lot of people will actually tell you that that is exactly the time you need to get into the markets. I'm not telling you that. I'm just here to show you a better way to do it and a better way to do your research. Now, for me to itemize the evils of our current financial system, it's not in the scope of this video, and I don't really care to have that argument. But one major issue that we do have is barrier to entry. Modern markets are treated like some kind of magic pool that only the rich or the initiated can scry in, and you have to have licenses, and you have to be a part of that world. You have to indoctrinate yourself in order to play. And if you don't believe this, take one look at the Robinhood user interface and compare it to a more traditional stock trading platform, and you'll see that it looks like it's made for children or the mentally challenged. And if you look a little bit deeper and you learn about payment for order flow, you'll figure out that that's basically true. They do not want you to participate on the level at which they participate. They want you down in the retail pens, scratching around for profits while they do everything else. And when I say they, I mean, for example, Michael Bloomberg, because at the other end of the spectrum is the Bloomberg terminal. And that's right, it's the same Bloomberg as the horrible website with the paywalls that we all hate and the scumbag New York mayor. That's the same person. He did it all. And Michael Bloomberg can be applauded for putting together a really impressive tool for stock analysis and trading and news, although I would argue that he wields that like a cudgel instead of an actual news platform. But he can be jeered for barrier to entry, putting up a big fat gate. And how fat is this gate? How amazingly structurally sound is it to keep you out? Well, $25,000 per year. That's what it's going to cost you to participate on Mike's platform. And you're going to need to pony up the equivalent of a small car every single year. That is an annual subscription. So do you want to pay $25K a year, or do you want to go back to Robinhood and eat crayons with the rest of the meme traders? Now, to be fair, I'm leaving out a lot of stuff in the middle. For example, TD Ameritrade has a pretty decent platform, Thinkorswim. It's definitely further toward the Bloomberg platform than it is toward the Robinhood platform, but you do need to do business with them in order to use it for real-time trades. Now, you can use it for paper trading, but I don't want to get into all that. The point is, you usually have to pay to play or use the really, really disgusting stuff and basically sell your data in order to get free trading. And that's where OpenBB comes into the picture. Now, what OpenBB claim to try to do, and it certainly looks like they are doing that, is to level the playing field, to give you more information and more of a powerful trading platform that's more akin to the Bloomberg terminal, thus BB, than the Robinhood fleecing that you're going to get poking at their stupid interface. And a big thing about the Bloomberg terminal is that it brings a lot of different kinds of information together in a convenient place. And OpenBB also seeks to do that. You see, a lot of the information that you need to know about the companies you may want to invest in is out there for public consumption. It is by law something that these companies must tell you about, but they don't necessarily have to make it easy for you to find this information. And it's not conveniently collected in a single place or formatted in a way that's very palatable. And OpenBB aims to do all that. Bring all this information together under one roof and give you tools to analyze it, tools to study it, ways to integrate your own portfolio into it, and best of all, the other part of the title, make it open source. Now, OpenBB is cross-platform. It runs on Python. I'm going to walk you through the Linux installation, but get ready for more angry comments. I had a terrible experience setting this up on Linux. And despite getting some responses from OpenBB support, they were very quick to respond. They were very helpful. Unfortunately, I was never able to get the charting or the TensorFlow analysis to work on Debian. The Windows installer, on the other hand, works flawlessly. It's great. I've been using it. So I'm going to walk you through the Linux install because the Windows installer is one click. And I'm going to show you how this is set up on Linux, maybe give you a better idea of, what's going on under the hood here. But ultimately, when we go through the exploration phase, I'm switching back to Windows because, like I say, I never got charting or TensorFlow analysis to work. It had to do with the dependencies and the mode that the math library was running in. And honestly, I just don't care to go to the trouble of actually troubleshooting it because there's a working version that I can just switch to. Now, OpenBB is written in Python and it requires Anaconda for installation. If you're not familiar with Anaconda, it's a package manager. And I know, another package manager, it's disgusting. But Anaconda tries to deal with the horror of versioning and the awful things that they've done with Python versioning and the supply chain, which is considerable for this project. Now, I'm going to assume that you already have Python 3 and you're that far along. And if not, then that's going to be your first step, is to install Python 3. The second step will be installing the requirements for Anaconda, the dependencies. And if all that sounds like a foreign language to you and you don't know what I'm talking about and you don't care, remember, just use the Windows installer. There's also a Mac installer, but I have too much self-respect to have a Mac in my home, so I wasn't able to test that. Next up, after installing the Anaconda dependencies, and by the way, I'm getting all of this from the Anaconda's official install page, we are going to confirm that Python 3 is installed correctly on our system. If you get some output other than what you see here, you need to go back and install Python 3. Next up, we'll download the Anaconda installer. You can get this URL from the Anaconda install page. And then we'll run that installation script that we just downloaded. And next up, we'll install Git for Anaconda. Git is what we'll use to actually download OpenBB. And next, we'll use Git to clone OpenBB from the Git repo. Make sure that you've created a directory where you want OpenBB to live and move to that directory before you do this step. Now, you should end up with a file structure that looks something like this. And next up, we'll create the Anaconda environment in which OpenBB will run. So Anaconda can run different kinds of environments just in case you need some sort of special versioning or supply chain for a specific project. So by switching to the environment we just created, we should guarantee that we have everything we need, although it didn't work for me. And after that, we'll use one of the YAML files provided from the OpenBB repo to download everything else we need for OpenBB. Now you should check the OpenBB installer page before you do this. Don't just follow the text that I used here, because there might be a new version that you need to use whenever you get into this. And next up, we'll activate that environment that we just created. It'll show you the command at the end of that installation that you need to switch to that environment. And then once inside that environment, we'll run the poetry install for, you guessed it, even more dependencies. And finally, we can run Python 3 on terminal.py to launch our OpenBB terminal. However, as I said before, this is where I switch to Windows so I can get the full experience and not lose charts and TensorFlow here. Let's take a quick look at what OpenBB can do. Now, I want to preface this by saying that I'm not a maven when it comes to, the SEC and stock trading and securities and all those kinds of things. Of course, there's more to this than that, but all that to say, I'm not going to know a lot of what these commands are. There's a lot of information here. So you probably do want to get in here and explore. If you do understand all of these things, I'm sure it's going to be a real candy land for you, but I don't always know what these alphabet soup of things mean, but we will look at some of them. The first thing I think it's important to look at is the API features of this. Now, as far as I can tell, you can't actually make trades. You can't API into actual trading platforms. And that's probably a good idea with software like this. Although, if you really want to emulate the Bloomberg terminal, that is a big part of it. So first, let's look at the keys menu. Now, this is all command line driven. You don't use the mouse a lot until it starts spawning windows. I really do like that. You have a kind of a directory structure down here at the bottom. Right now we're at the root, and that's giving us all these high level menus that we can go into. So for example, let's go into the keys menu, and here are our API keys for bringing in data. And you can see here is a lot of different ways that you might be able to get some financial data. And yes, Reddit. Reddit is now a financial website. You can use Reddit to pull in financial data through this thing if you are so inclined. I don't know why Ethplorer is defined and passed here. I'm not a user of Ethplorer. Maybe that's something that these guys make and they automatically set it up for us. But anyway, you'll see that I don't have keys set up for all these things. If you want to bring in, for example, the news command, let's go back to the main menu here. You always want to type help to respawn the menu. The news command is there, but it's not going to do anything. And that's because I don't have a news API set up. These guys aren't going to let you use their API key to hit whatever it is over and over and get flood controlled. So you do have to set up your own incoming news streams and stuff like that. The great thing about that is you can cherry pick it. The other thing I want to take a look at in terms of API is portfolio. You do have a nice little tab complete here. Nice little command line thing. And this is, so you can't, as far as I can tell, you can't make trades via this thing. But you can bring in your brokerage portfolio and do analysis on it. And you can see a list here of the ones that they support so far. No Ameritrade on there. So my main trading account would be an Ameritrade account. I guess I'm out of luck here. But I'm sure you can recreate it manually if you want to. So just keep in mind that after you install this, it's not going to be magic in terms of bringing in all the data. You do have to set up some APIs because some of this stuff is going to be throttled. Let's look at both sources and settings. So real quick, let's just look at the settings. You got some graphical settings here. You've got how to plot the charts and stuff like that. Not a ton of stuff going on here. Flare emoji, that's important in stock trading. And also, as I was mentioning, sources. So with the autocomplete menu here, it will give you this contextual, and you can say like, okay, where do we want the source for the candle charts to come from? Wait, what? Okay, that's interesting. Stock search. Stock's candle seems to be broken. But it's telling me, hey, when I pull stock search, I'm coming from finance database. When I do stock quotes, coming from Yahoo Finance. And the available, it can show you there. It's like, well, maybe you could get one of these things from multiple sources, maybe stock news. Yeah, okay. So I can get my news from feed parser or news API. So I could change that here with the set command. If for whatever reason I don't like feed parser, I can switch to a different source for things. And that's what the source menu is going to do for us. Keys, API keys, and feature flags are the other two configuration things, which is, it's turning things on and off and setting any API keys you might have to look at those other things. So yeah, now let's take a look at the stocks menu. And in the stock menu, what you want to do is load. It's remembering my load from just before when I did this, which was Intel. And so all of these commands down here with the arrows next to them are going to be performed on whatever stock that you currently have loaded. And it's going to show you things you can do like the quote, the candle, the news, and it's going to tell you where it's going to get that stuff from. So let's say we want to do some, I'm not sure if it'll actually work like this because I don't have API keys set. Some Intel news. It's struggling. Now, I can't get the news because that might be why they're red. No, because a quote will work. Give me a stock quote for the Intel Corporation. Okay, so it can do that. There's the current ticker and some information about Intel. And if we want to do a different stock, we can load another stock. There we go. Loaded Tesla. Tell us some stuff about it. Oh, year to date. That's a big red number. And from here, we can go further. Now, one of the big things I want to show off is the charting. And we have a candle chart command here. Don't know if we have any other kinds of charts. And that is the reason that you are seeing my taskbar in this video. Why I'm not capturing a window is because the charting will spawn a new window. Now, I've never used a Bloomberg terminal for charting or for anything for that matter. I don't have an extra $25,000 and I don't hang out with those kinds of people. But I have seen charts exported from Bloomberg and they do look very similar to this with the amber color scheme. But if you're a big stock person, probably the first thing you're going to notice here is, well, there's no filters. There's no controls. Now, we do have these sliders down here, subplot parameters. We'll change some of them, but the chart doesn't change. I don't know if that's the overall configuration, but can't seem to make any difference with it. So I don't understand exactly how that works. Not sure what those red lines mean. But anyway, like drilling down, now we do have the zoom feature, which graphically doesn't give you a lot of feedback, but it seems like if you just drag a portion, it will zoom in on that portion and give you some information there. But I have to say, you got like back and forth, like home button, which resets the back buttons and doesn't do anything. But I have to say this is a bit disappointing in terms of charting, especially if you want to do live charting. Now, there are some rules, I think, about giving you live quotes. I think you might have to pay for that, so obviously they're not going to do that. But in terms of being able to have live filters on my chart, being able to zoom and drag and stuff like that, most of your stockbrokers are going to do that. Even Robinhood gives you some, better charting than this. And their stuff is very minimal. So that's one thing. If you're a big chart junkie, you might be disappointed with this. And there might be more depth to it that I'm not getting from first glance, but probably not a great UI if I'm not getting it at first glance, right? So definitely, and we've created a Python error by closing that window. Interesting. But it recovered. So beyond charting and looking at the basics of the company, you can see we've got a bunch of different commands down here that are going to run. These are the things that I don't always understand. I know what dark pools are, right? These are the trades that are not on public exchanges. So did I lose? Oh, here we go. Dark pool. We're still on Tesla. So we can look at most shorted, dark pool versus over the counter. Okay, let's look at that. It's going to get that from FINRA. I do love how they give you where this information is coming from. Could not get data. Okay. How about net shorts? Oh, we go. Get another chart for that one. Interesting. And price versus short interest volume. Sure. Well, why don't we take a look at that? And we get another chart. Interesting. Definitely a lot of depth if you know what you're looking at here. Let's try one of these ones from the top. Dark pool short positions. Okay. Now instead of a chart, we get a table. That's interesting. And then now you can see down here at the bottom, we are in kind of like a directory structure. You know, we're in stocks and then dark pool. Anytime you want to step back, you can queue to quit and step back one, and then you can help and show that menu again. And if you queue again, we will go back to the main menu. So let's jump on over and look at some crypto stuff. And we'll load Ethereum. I'm not a big crypto guy. I don't know any of the hipster cryptos. I only know the big ones. So we get some Ethereum. Oh, that year to date is also a little terrifying, huh? And we can look at headlines. Let's see if this works. News did not. Oh, okay. So this is more of like how much mention are we getting? And obviously with the merge, we're getting some news about Ethereum right now. We're peaking, but not quite as much as Friday. Was that Saturday? Oh yeah, Saturday was a big day. Big day in the Ethereum news world. So from there, let's take a look at NFT. There's an interesting command, right? Today's NFT drops. Is there anything dropping today? Oh, none. Recently added. Oh, none found. Load error. Maybe because Ethereum doesn't directly do NFTs. I'm thinking maybe Ethereum is not the crypto to run those commands on. So what else do we have here? Technical analysis. Well, that's going to be useful for cryptos, right? So we got, now here's the kind of stuff where I understand some of these concepts, but exponential moving average. Let's see what that does. Okay, that's a chart. That makes sense to me. I understand that. What else we got? Bollinger Bands or Bollinger Bands. It's one of those words I've only ever read and never heard said. Interesting. The idea, I do understand the Bollinger Band. The idea is you want to stay between the blue and the red, I think. Or the upper and lower. And when it touches one, you expect it to go toward the other. I don't know about this whole charting stuff, Chad. I've never tried to trade just on charts. I think that's maybe a fool's errand. Stochastic oscillator. I've heard that before. I'm not going to pretend to be able to explain it to you, but there it is. You can check it out. You can also export these. You can save these out if you want to keep them. Look at them later. There are some more impressive looking charts on their website, some like rainbow colored stuff. I don't know how to generate those necessarily, but it's in there somewhere. Fibonacci. I know about the Fibonacci. Ooh. So I see the Fibonacci trend line going up, but shouldn't there be one right here too? That one doesn't look good at all. Although, did we just break it? Are we punching through right there? Maybe. Again, I have no idea about charting. Let's head back to the home menu. And let's look at some more high-level stuff. Now, you got mutual funds, foreign exchange, macroeconomics. You know what? Let's check out some macroeconomics. We've got futures and commodities overview. Oh, okay. Cool. So we take some common futures and we look at where we are with them. Looks like wheat is not doing well. Wait, how is wheat not doing well when we're in a global famine? Shouldn't that price be up? Maybe it was those grain barges. But that's interesting. various things in there that can tell you about what's going on in the world, and exchange traded funds, so forth. But kind of get the idea. You've got some analysis that will do automatically. You've got some APIs to pull in data from other places. You've got some charting that may be a little rudimentary compared to what we've got these days. But the analysis is very, very complex and deep, and far more than I understand. And beyond that, let's just take a look at maybe dashboards. This feature is coming soon. Okay, we're not going to look at that. How about reports? This feature is coming soon. Gotcha. So maybe econometrics. Here we go. Load a data set. I don't have a data set. That's not the place for me. So, yeah, what else do we have here? Search for an expression in Wikipedia. Oh, that's cool. So like when they teach you something, or when there's something you don't understand, you can just type wiki and does that just take a generic? Yeah. Okay. So literally all that's doing is just taking the first paragraph from Wikipedia and giving you a link to it. That's interesting. So they're talking about the Fibonacci, the man, not the charting discipline. Update did not work for me. Yeah, you do have to manually update this thing. I did just uninstall and reinstall a new version in order to update it, so that's not ready yet. But let's check out. So the final thing we'll check out here is alternatives. Here they tell us maybe, these days, traditional analysis and charting, why would you look at that? It's all about Reddit, right? Or the Federal Reserve or so forth. So there's a word here that I'm not allowed to say. Man, that's going to be on the screen too. That's going to get demonetized. Oh, okay. So that's just interesting. What other stock platform that has a deaths command? Hey, there we go. Oh, that chart's looking pretty good. We're right down here at the baseline. And how about some cases? Well, that chart's looking pretty good too. Oh, I'm feeling good about these charts. So there you have it. OpenBB, very, very cool if you are in the stock trading game. Very deep. Not all there yet. And the charting, I would say, leaves a lot to be desired. You can't make trades as far as I can tell. But if you have ideas for trades and you're just not sure, you want to get some more information, let me try to get in here. One thing I liked about this was some of the things you can do is, insider trading on a stock. So let's look at, I want to see last insider trading. And this is pretty cool because you can actually, who are we looking at here? Tesla. We're still looking at Tesla. So you can see the Tesla insiders who have made trades, made insider trading, and what they've done. And it looks like a lot of sales. The chief financial officer sold 7,500 shares. Zachary Kirkhorn, what does he know that you don't? So that's cool. I like that. Insider sales. There you go. Oh, this is not for just Tesla. This is all tickers. It's kind of weird because it's down here in the last inside. Oh, that's not in the ticker menu. Gotcha. Okay. So, top officer purchases today. Let's look at that. Who we got? CTSO, Cytosorbent Corp. 35,000 shares at a time. I mean, that's not. This must be the top by share count and not by monetary value, because that was only 60 grand. But I do like insider trading. If the insiders are doing it, that seems like a pretty good indicator. The other interesting thing that we have is just information about the company itself. I don't remember how to get to that, but it tells you like the corporate officers and so forth. Let's look at some predictive techniques. Predicting is what we want to do, right? Predicting is disabled. Okay, what about quantitative analysis? Now this, I believe, uses some AI, some TensorFlow in here. So let's do a line plot. Okay. I don't know exactly what that means, but there it is. There's some lines. Some sort of quantitative analysis. Let's look at the rolling. Display main standard got an unexpected keyword limit. Well, how about a spread? Ooh, that seems to be having issues at the moment. What about a summary? Quantitative summary. There's a lot of numbers there. This is where I don't understand what I'm looking at. Value at risk. Aha. Negative 0.055, just as I predicted. Yeah, I'm not going to pretend to understand what's going on here. Raw data. Love raw data. Is this percentage of returns on a given day? I don't know, gang. I bet a lot of you can go down to the comment section and explain some of this stuff to all the other people and myself who don't know what all this means. Box and whisker. That sounds exciting. That's tantalizing. Oh my God, what a beautiful chart. What does it mean? I don't know, but look at all those boxes and whiskers. Fantastic. So I would encourage you, if you are at all interested in this kind of thing, to check out OpenBB. It is open source. It is free. It is multi-platform. And it's fun to dig around and see all the public information. All of this stuff comes from places where you're supposed to be able to get to it, but the modern world doesn't make that simple. So these guys are looking to make it more simple, pull it together into one place. And I think they've done a pretty good job here. Despite some of the shortcomings that it has versus the more commercial stock trading platforms, it is still very impressive what they've done here. And it's very admirable that this is open source. And I hope they take it a lot further. So thanks for checking it out with me. I encourage you to download it. We'll be back again to check out something else new and interesting.